Business professionals know their capabilities. However, will the unknown demands of the post-COVID future cast a shadow of doubt on our confidence? In the first episode of our Resilience series, positive psychology practitioner Tara Schofield helps us understand the benefits of embracing negative emotions. In this episode, we explore exercises that could help us diminish the crippling effects of self-doubt. Well, welcome to episode 2, everyone, and we still have Tara with us. Thank you, Tara, for your time. So in the previous episode, you talked a little bit about resilience, what it is, and how we can build toolkits, in terms of towards having better resilience. But, when I look at what happened to the business events industry, especially since COVID, and business events professionals are generally very confident. We know that our capabilities are needed when it comes to our participant safety, when it comes to in-person events. However, what happened during COVID really shocked us, because overnight, our industry almost became irrelevant. We lost a big source of revenue. And even when we are looking at building towards the future, or whatever future that might be in a post-border opening future, sometimes the shadow of doubt seems to seep in, even though we know that we are capable, but the doubt is so powerful. So how should we challenge the doubt in us?
Oh, thank you. And I just want to start by saying that makes sense. It makes sense. Look there's so many things that have changed right now within your world, within every world, but actually day by day, it impacts on you and the people around your world. And it's real. And I feel like, in a way, what you've just described to me, Elle, it makes sense. It makes sense to be able to say, oh, I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to do this next step. And now that things have changed around me, what does that mean for me? And I think I would start with an area of doubt, of understanding what are your expectations of yourself right now. What do you expect, given the reality of the situation? Maybe start to build awareness firstly around, how am I interpreting the situation? Going back to what we talked about last time, like what sort of thinking is coming up for me? How am I interpreting that? And if it comes up that it's sort of like, I'm feeling really doubtful whether I can make a change and really influence my future, firstly, I would say put a whole lot of self-compassion in there and say, yeah, this is hard. This is hard right now. Once you've done that, then it's really about self-doubt can come to us for a number of different reasons. Doubt comes to us sometimes when we are trying to understand, do we have the skills and the capability to be able to face this next situation? And sometimes it's there because we think, okay, well, I might take this opportunity to upskill myself, to, think about, okay, there's some different things that I might want to do because maybe I feel like I don't have the skills anymore and I want to be able to work on that.
As you were explaining self-doubt or everything around it when it comes to capabilities, perhaps unknowingly what we lost is a sense of identity. Because our sense of identity of being successful or running or managing successful events or brand strategy or everything that we do were sort of like taken away from us. So I think that when it comes to doubt, I think we're very aware that we have got capabilities. I think it's more about, if we were to create something, will someone buy it? Will it be relevant again? Because we have got so many restrictions around us in terms of a number of people being allowed together at any one time in any one spot. So the nervousness of, should I invest in time that we have a lot, but not a lot of money? What is that return? So perhaps that's where all the doubts are starting to I guess take a stronger position in our life, especially when we are working with customers that perhaps keep asking, are you sure this will work? Are you sure there is return on investment? So I think that's why we are sort of like circling in our head and perhaps can't get it out sometimes.
Yeah, I think you touched on a lot of different and really important points with what you shared there, Elle. You said that there was a loss of identity. And I just want to touch on that first. We really as humans have basic psychological needs that really need to be met for us to have a sense of feeling good and functioning well in our world. And three of those psychological needs are a sense of autonomy and freedom. Like, I have this ability to be able to make decisions in my world. I have the ability to influence my world. That's really been tapered off quite a bit. Another one is sense of relatedness, a sense of being part of like a wider network, and knowing who to tap into if things get hard. That has come away as well. The third one, and I think is the most relatable, is a sense of mastery and competence. This ability to actually feel like, I'm good at what I do and I can do it. Now, if you are not able to practice and keep honing your skills and be able to be almost like this best version of you who gets out there in the event industry and really can hold all this information together at the same time and run these amazing events, if you're not doing that and practicing that skill, you can start questioning that sense of mastery. And so I think that what can be happening here is there's needs, basic needs that have been shown cross cultures to be really fundamental when it comes to well-being. And if those needs aren't being met, it is really hard. It is really hard, and it can really, really detract from our sense of well-being and our sense of resilience. So it's a matter of almost being aware of those needs and being aware that some of those needs are not being met at the moment within yourself, and then being able to normalize and say, well, given this situation where when this has happened, I've lost my sense of identity and my sense of mastery, my sense of, autonomy and relatedness, then these needs are not being met. It's understandable that I'm starting to question where I'm at and where I can have influence at the moment.
Well, a couple of exercises that you taught me that I absolutely thrive and absolutely enjoy doing it. First of all, is that sounding board, the social sounding board, in terms of truth checking. Is what I'm feeling, the doubt, how true is it? What will be the outcome, the perception of that, and everything around that. So that's one thing that I absolutely love. The other thing that I love much more is the writing down, the reflection, the reflective writing, because sometimes we walk around, whether we go for a walk or listening to podcasts as we are walking or running or walking the dog or anything like that, but we don't write it down. So the thought keeps circling in, and it becomes such a vicious cycle of, like we say in the previous episode, negative thoughts, and then that leads to doubt, being doubtful. So tell us a little bit about why these tools, I would say, tools that we can apply that really help us return to a normal level of resilience.
Nice, thanks for that. And I'm so glad that you enjoyed those activities, Ellen. I'm glad that you're able to share it with your audience as well. So let's look, firstly, you talked about being able to look at the situation. So you've got your awareness, I am feeling like this. And being able to really look at it from different perspectives and to question it as well. And what that is about is being able to use like critical thinking skills, and it widens our perception. It almost makes us, sometimes when we're in a challenging situation, we almost get tunnel visioned. We can only see the problem, and we can get quite narrow in our tunnel and sort of just keep seeing what's going wrong, here's more evidence of what's going wrong. And so what we did when we were learning together was be able to open up that awareness, literally take the tunnel out and start looking at other ways to explain this situation. One of the ones was sort of think about, how could somebody else explain the situation? How might I feel in a different time from now? If I was to make a change here, what would that look like? And it's really about widening your perspective. And what we did, which can be really effective, is being able to talk about it with somebody else and have somebody say, okay, but if you looked at this from a different angle, what would be the possibilities here? And start thinking about different ways to looking at it, different ways of looking at it. So you're no longer in the tunnel, you're actually seeing a wider map of different possibilities. And then you can tap into your skill set and, okay, how could I transfer these skills so I can walk a different path and not just down that tunnel? And I want to just caveat that by saying I'm not asking you to whitewash and say, let's be all positive about it, but more just widen the perspective and look for other options.
And I think the choice of who we speak to plays an important part as well, because constantly I have this self-awareness and reflection. So if I speak to someone who knows me very well or the industry very well, I do feel that it closes the gaps of understanding. So I don't sit there to say, oh, you don't understand what I'm going through or anything like that. But at the same time, it's a risk because the fact that they know me so well, they could say sweet nothings because they don't want to see me suffer. So in the end, I will not be able to get out of this doubtful situation. Whereas when I speak to a stranger, for example, who doesn't know our industry from a bar of soap, sometimes certain questions that they ask me really helped me to reflect a lot deeper, because I just go, oh my God, I've been in my own little well, swimming in it. And then when someone brilliantly just came, oh, what about this, and you put them together, would that work? Like you said, it really broadened the perspective and give us a new sense of hope.
Yeah, that's beautiful. The other thing you talked about was writing, Elle, and I know that for you that this is a really useful strategy to be able to get what's living and swimming around in here and making sense of it out on paper. And there's a lot of research around the use of writing, and it can be used in so many different ways. And one of the ones that you've talked about here is gaining clarity on what actually really is the crux of what you're working with and living with at the moment, and what is it that's really draining your resilience or maybe is unhelpful and making it hard for you to bounce back. So writing can give us, like you said, that clarity. And it can be almost like having your own best friend in your pocket, because you can sort of write and talk it out to yourself and really be, this is where the problem was. And now that I know what the problem is, now I know how to address it. But sometimes just getting to that clarity can be the thing that keeps you, like you say, kind of swirling around in that well and not knowing where the next step of success could be for you.
Yeah, I think the writing part is so sobering. It is sobering in a way that I would say when you look at the keywords that you write down, on a day that you're highly emotional, and then perhaps a couple of days later, as you go back to reflect after the emotion side dies off, you can see where I can see where the pitfalls are. Yeah. And also the fact that as I write things down, suddenly, because what I love about being a human being is the fact that our intuition and our gut feel is a special gift. And it is a special gift that I find it signals us something is not quite right. That's why we have that doubt whether we should commit to something or not. So as we write that down, I remember I was doing this exercise the other day, and then I realized of a particular incident, and I realized that, oh my God, it's not about price points or how many hours I have to do for that project. It's for the fundamental basics that the process has been very disrespectful. That's why I felt that no matter how high or low I charge, I could not find the pendulum of balance between a service provider and doing your passionate work. Because the deep-seated problem was that there is disrespect in that communication and that relationship. So then I find that, okay, it's not going to be productive, because no matter how much I try or the other party tries, we're not going to come into an agreement, because there is not enough respect to hold the project ground.
Yeah, and that's so many interesting insights from that, because the trust wasn't there. So almost without the trust there, you almost didn't have the platform to be able to then build upon it. And I think you and I share that we love what we do. And it's almost like putting, I often say when I get paid, I get to do what I love and I get paid for it. So the motivation is the doing of the work, right? It's the doing and it's the sharing of the work, and the payment is a bonus, but it's reality. We've got to get paid in life. But yeah, if you've and it's great insight on your behalf of being able to understand that with that lack of respect there and that lack of trust there, that actually it took away from that intrinsic motivation that you had to do this role. And maybe you had to tap into a different type of motivation, because effectively you still need to work, but at the same time, kind of being aware where you're being depleted there was great awareness. And I'm so glad you were able to write that out and find that.
Yeah, it was such a blessing. So thank you. All right. So we can't wait to get to the next episode where we talk about adaptability.
Great. See you soon.